What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about Jurassic Park Survival, one of, if not maybe the biggest game announced at the Game Awards. I want to do something similar like we did with the Blade game, where, just talking about my excitement for it, where the game kind of is in development, and anything else that I think kind of fits this video. So this game looked awesome, and I do want to kind of throw in, because I have been pretty critical of games that are almost entirely or entirely just like CG, just to throw it in there. The thing that actually makes me the most excited about this, yes, the trailer itself is awesome. I think it's a really, beautiful trailer, really well done. But, if you only showed us that, only showed us the visuals there, even though you can kind of get a vibe, that's really all you'd be able to get. I'm actually most excited by the ending of the trailer, where it's not much. It's 3-4 scenes. It's very, very short. It's probably 5% of the entire trailer, but it shows a little actual footage of the game. And that's where you get, even without, their kind of posts on their own website of what kind of game this is, you can tell from the trailer itself. And then when they actually show you what you'll be doing, you say, okay, so this is a, this survival kind of horror aspect thing. And that's where like the action survival or action horror kind of genre pops up. And I think it's because of that ending that everybody's talking about it, number one, just in terms of how good it is, and number two, comparing it to Alien Isolation. Now, that's one that I think we threw out even maybe in my live stream when we watched it. I think that's a phenomenal comparison. And even though this is not, the same studio that's doing it, if you could basically, or even literally, make a Jurassic Park game like Alien Isolation, you just port so many that's like the concepts, the basic ideas, the drafting of how you do that game. This game would be potentially a Game of the Year contender. I think it could honestly be that good, because Jurassic Park is already gigantic. I think people have kind of wanted something like this for a while. And like I've said before, we've gotten a couple of different Jurassic Park things. I think the, management sim game, Jurassic World, I think actually that's pretty okay. I actually liked both of them, but I didn't get like super deep into it. To have, and I think they even said this is going to be an open world. So it takes place a day after the first movie. One thing I even saw kind of comments of online is the excitement of Jurassic Park, right? So not a Jurassic World game. And I honestly think that would have been fine too. I think the basic idea is just give us an experience where you're running, hiding, doing these different activities against and getting away from dinosaurs, right? Doesn't really matter, I would say, the types of them, just that basic idea of, again, an Alien Isolation. Make these things smart, make it scary and eerie. And we got a little bit of that where you're in a hallway and you can see like the shadow of one at the end of the hall. You can imagine, I would say, an entire game kind of based off that. I think that would be outrageously good. So the concept of it, and even just, even though you can't get too much from the cinematic part of the trailer, even the couple scenes that they showed of the actual gameplay is enough to at least drive home the idea of what this game is going to be. And I think that gets me very excited. I think it gets a lot of other people excited. If nothing more than if, again, this is just a dinosaur Alien Isolation game, if that's all the change is, I think that's completely fine. People have been asking for Alien Isolation 2 for a very long time. This might be it. Another thing to throw in terms of like, okay, so that was the game. Pulling ourselves out of it a little bit more of the political stuff with the studio and how long and stuff. So Saber Interactive. I'm fine with that. Saber Interactive is pretty darn varied. They make a lot of different games. I think their Wikipedia or something. I think their actual website says they own like 20 studios. Saber Interactive is massive. They employ over like 1,300 people. So this is an enormously varied, kind of studio or company that has all these different teams. The one thing that stands out, especially when you see Saber, though, at least one thing that pops into my head, and not to make this video about something else, but the Knights of the Old Republic remake. Now, that's not to say you can't make two games at once, especially when you have over 1,300 people and 20 teams. It's not like the team that was making KOTOR drops it, murders it, gives it a funeral, and then moves over and does Jurassic Park Survival, right? Like, that doesn't have to be what happened. Could it be what happened? I mean, maybe. But I think, in case people are like, well, there's one of, like, the Saber game that always comes to my mind is World War Z, which I think is actually a pretty darn good game, but it's very different. You could say, okay, well, is that like the only thing they do? No, they make tons of different stuff. And if you believe that KOTOR is still alive, they're making Jurassic Park, they're making KOTOR. They're pretty varied. Now, The footage that we saw said alpha. I think this is a game that is, I think this is kind of far away, but I don't think it is that far. And let me explain just for a second. You know, in the Blade video we made earlier today, Blade, I think, just got started, right? And you're looking at 4 or 5 years. You're looking at the end of the console generation for a game like Blade. This game does not give me the same vibes, okay? Now, does that mean we get it next year? Absolutely not. You know, I think, and I mean, this was on my bingo board for the Game Awards. This is a game, and many of the games were games that if you didn't see a year, because some games did give years, like 2024, if you didn't see a year, they're 2025 or later. So this game at best, and that is if you're crossing every finger that you have, is going to be 2025. I don't even know about that one. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be shocked if this was like a 2026 thing, but I don't think it's as far out as, say, something like Blade, or when we saw Mass Effect at the time, right? When you see Mass Effect, that game just got started. Jeff had shown Dragon Age, you know, years before that. He shows games commonly that have just begun development, like within the last half year of showing it. This, to me, doesn't ring off the same, and that's good because I think people are very, very excited. The trailer, I think, is on trending. I think it's like number 18, even when I'm recording. Days later, days after the Game Awards, it's still on trending on YouTube. So I think, obviously, it's because it's Jurassic Park, but I think also people are just really intrigued by the idea of this game. If they, I mean, it's easy to say if they nail it, right? I mean, we're not the ones doing it, but if they do nail it, this can be an excellent game, and a type of game that people have been asking for a very long time. And maybe it spins off, and maybe you can get these kind of things with other properties or whatever that also kind of fits. And you can say, well, I could see this game doing something like that. You know, you need success stories. You need Alien Isolation to do well, which it did, to make maybe a Jurassic Park. And then you need this game to do well to, say, make whatever the next game would be, right? So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.